Harrison. Okay, the recording is on and we are ready to go. I'll call to order this public meeting of the Clark Communities Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. It's Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. My name is David Zillavy and I am the committee chair. Meetings of the Clark Communities Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee are held in a hybrid meeting format. This means that committee members, guests, and members of the public have the option to attend in person or remotely. As a reminder to all members in person, when you speak, we request that you unmute your microphone, state your name so that those online and the recording can track who is speaking. For members of the public attending remotely, other meeting participants cannot see or hear you unless you are acknowledged by the committee chair or staff and your audio is unmuted. Please raise your virtual hand to request to be unmuted. And now we will take attendance verbally. So when your name is called, please say here.
Yes, Dave Zillavy,
Here.
John Vanderburg,
Here.
Megan Filipino.
She will not be coming.
Oh, she's not. Kelsey Hewitt, Young.
Here.
Is that right? Do you want to go by Young?
I do. I got married
Okay.
in September, so thanks for
Yeah.
bearing with me as I learn my new last name.
Okay, yeah. And then we have Patty Sexton,
Here.
Scott Sloan,
Here.
Anthony Tortosidi,
Here.
Paul Shockey,
Here.
Jay Glassman,
Here.
Doug Young.
Here.
Great. And Brian Watson is absent. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. We will now move to the first item on our agenda, which is general public comment. And we have here tonight Marlise Watson from the Old Evergreen Historical Trail organization. And she is going to make a comment about her project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here, and y'all are so wonderful. Oh, you're also wonderful. I'm kind of learning how the AV works. I'm going to go off of the slides that you're going to have online. So that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start at slide 2, which is the project area. So the project area is located in the southeast quadrant of Vancouver, Washington, and it is part of the Lewis and Clark Trail. The project I want to discuss today is the TIP project 741. And that is, it goes from basically the freeway to 164th. It doesn't go all the way to Camas, but that's the next thing I'll be discussing with the whole city. It's a wonderful place to live. We love it. But WestDOT says that we should estimate 1.87 people to be injured or fatalities every single year based on the infrastructure that is on the freeway, the road right now. Currently, you can see on slide number 3 with the serious injuries and fatalities, we overreach that number every single year. And last year we had 3 people die and 2 people get seriously injured. It was a banner year in 2025. You can see on slide number 4, the severe accidents and fatalities and DUIs. One of the fatalities was a boy just crossing the road over by the hatchery. Another man was pinned by the arborvitae because there's no place for him to go. The only place for him to be would be the road. And he still walks with a limp. It's very serious what is happening on Evergreen Highway, and I don't think people are realizing, because we're a small neighborhood, the severity of what is going on. WestDOT says that the only way to fix this problem is a multi-use path. It separates the pedestrians and the bicyclists, like a little kid who got swiped in the back of the head with the side mirror of a car. It separates them so they're easier to be seen and gives them a place to go. Some of the train fatalities are based on kids thinking that the only straight path for them to walk is the train path. With headphones in their ears, they got hit from behind by the train. So it's a very serious thing. You can see on slide 5 that currently the TIP has us down for an unfunded status.
Oh.
Okay. Oh,
That just indicated it was the end of your 3 minutes. Sorry. Did you have just a couple seconds to wrap up or?
yes, I'd like to skip to slide 7. TIP is in 3 quadrants, Cascade, Pacific, and Columbia. And the funding is Cascade has $50 million less than the other 3 categories. And I think that adding 741 would shore up some of the disparities. Thank you.
Thank you. And Susan Poisner, Clark County staff, and as I mentioned to you earlier, I did share your email with Brett Setterfield with the City of Vancouver, as well as Judith Perez Kensington with RTC. So,
Thank you.
yep.
And
Ask questions?
can we ask questions? Sure, you bet.
So I understand that this is a City of Vancouver project. And the City of Vancouver has it on their list.
Yes, ma'am, we are on the list, but we are in unfunded status, which means they will do nothing with 741. They are doing something with 740. It is on the list and it is funded, but that particular section, people don't die. This section, people die, and the DUIs are twice what any other section on Evergreen is.
My understanding from the slides or presentation is that this, even though this committee is a Clark County committee, you're asking for our support.
Yes, ma'am, I am asking for a letter of support. It will help me with writing grants, but it will also help me with communicating to the city council and to RTC that this is a worthy project to change from unfunded status to partially funded. It's a big ask. It's a small thing, but a big ask.
Chair, I don't know what the right way is, but would the committee be able to discuss this as an action item in some future agenda that we can make a decision on whether to provide a letter of support?
I think we can surely discuss it. But typically, the county, we're not going to tell the city what to do. There may be some other way we can express an interest in this project. And I also wonder, Brett, I don't mean to put you on the spot. And there may be nothing that you have to add to this discussion, but I don't know if there's any insight you have about Marlise's comments and her project. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. Yeah, Brett Setterfield, for the record, Brett Setterfield, City of Vancouver, Transportation Planner. Me particularly, I don't know the specifics of that, but I would encourage you, next Tuesday night is the Transportation and Mobility Commission meeting that every month we hold one, and there's a public hearing, or well, the public can come and talk essentially just like this, and that'll get directly into the ears of the TMC, Transportation Mobility Commission, and they essentially discuss things, or they talk to city council. So what I would encourage you to come to that. You don't actually need to come in person. You can do it online, but if you want to come in person, that's great. It's at City Hall. That starts at 6:30 was when the public comment portion is. And then would also encourage to just go directly to city council as well, just to get the city to hear that the public is interested in advocating for this. So that way we can hopefully get something. That's probably my biggest advice for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is John Vandenberg. Just a comment, I guess, to ease Patty's concerned. Even though we're sponsored by Clark County, the CC in our name is for Clark Communities. And so we're supposed to be for advising Camas and Vancouver and Battleground and all of that type of thing too, and not just do things involved with the county. So I wanted to try and clear that up.
Yep, and I think that we can get into that discussion, but we need to keep things rolling tonight. Scott, I see you have, you raised your hand.
Just a couple of questions. Scott Sloan with BPAC. Has there been any evidence that the speed bumps between Chelsea and Ellsworth effectively slowed traffic down? Do you know of any?
Not according to the police reports. We have a lot of hit and runs, and people are trying to evade the law. We have people using Evergreen Highway because of DUIs. They don't want to be on SR 14, so they take that part and they just run over the speed bumps. I know it slows me down, but actually there's a lot of speeding that's happening.
That was going to be my second comment. From my experience, there are there's a lot of traffic.
You know, I think, with that, let's table this. We need to keep to the agenda, but I love that we have some interest in this, and we'll figure out a way to further this discussion.
May I just make one brief comment? I have done the work that you're going to do with the TIP, with RTC, with 741, and I've submitted it to you. It would be my slide 8 on how to separate for all the different categories. If that is helpful in your learning today with RTC, I give that to you freely.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Marlise. Appreciate that. Are there any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is the approval of the meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026. And has everyone had a chance to read it? Are there any edits to it? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? And are we taking a voice vote? Okay, Susan is going to call your name, and you will state your vote.
Dave Zillavy,
Yes.
John Vandenberg,
I haven't read them, so I'll abstain.
Megan Filipino. Filipello, sorry, she's out. Kelsey Young,
Yes.
Patty Sexton,
Yes.
Scott Sloan,
Yes.
Anthony Torsini.
Hey there, I was absent from that meeting on the 24th. I'm not sure if that
Okay, so you can
disqualifies
abstain.
me from the vote. Yes, thank you.
Yep. Paul Shockey
Yes.
and Jay Glassman,
Yes.
Doug Young.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026 have been approved. We'll now move on to the next agenda item, which are updates from our partner agencies. And why don't we go alphabetical? And Dylan, I think that puts you at the top.
Thank you, Chair Zillivi. Good evening, BPAC members. Dylan Bass, WashDOT Southwest Region Complete Streets Lead. A few updates for you. First off, we're just getting out of the legislative session. We're doing some programming for upcoming biennia as part of our 6-year plan update. Part of that is a lot of work on I-5. A lot of I-5 paving projects, some of which will include paving ramps all the way to the ramp terminal intersection with the cross streets. And so we're working on 2 projects currently, getting those screened. The first one is a paving project from the Columbia River Bridge to 39th Street. And then the second one is from 99th up to the 205 merge. And so we'll be working with local agencies. Harrison, Brett will probably be talking at some point, provided that those projects move forward, including the ramps all the way up to the local street intersections. But still working that out. All kind of depends on timing and what our materials lab comes up with in terms of needs for paving those. Another option might be a county-wide ramp paver where we look at potentially bundling all those ramps into one project. It's a little bit more work on our part to get to mobilize twice rather than doing it all at once, but depending on timing, that may be how we approach those ramps. So more to come on those. Those are very early on in the planning stages. They're in our program. There's money allocated, but need to do the scoping work and get those projects screened. Another project that we're working on wrapping up is the SR 500 fourth plane to 76th Street pre-design. As we've been going through that process or going through that project, we've encountered some fairly significant issues with stormwater that would require significant right-of-way acquisition to advance the improvements that we were proposing. And so at this time, we're going after a deferral of the complete street improvements, and we'll be focusing on improvements at the intersections to make sure that we're reducing crossing distances, ensuring that the curb ramps are all compliant with current standards. But we're currently working with the Clark County Area Engineering Office to move that project forward. And so we'll be hopefully raising that need to the legislature, that we need a little bit more funding to fix those stormwater issues and get some improvements out there that can handle some additional impervious additional stormwater from impervious surfaces, so that way we can get some hopefully some wider paths out there for people walking and biking. So With that, that's all I have for you all today. Any questions or comments?
Just out of curiosity, that section from the north end of that project of 76th up to the Paddon Expressway, is that still WASDOT jurisdiction as far as who would be responsible for connecting the Paddon Expressway trail to the nice work that you're doing down there, that extra 2 blocks?
That is correct. Yes, that would be.
Just that's still WASDOT. Okay, just curious. Thanks.
Yep.
This is Dave Zillavy. Dylan, if I remember right, that project, a bunch of the active transportation infrastructure sort of got value engineered out. Is that correct? And if yes, is there a new scheme, and can we see the design of that new scheme?
I wouldn't say it's value engineered out. There's really just not enough money programmed at the start for these complete street improvements. As you've probably heard me say before, our complete streets program is a bit of an unfunded mandate. The legislature told us to implement complete streets in our projects, but we didn't receive additional funding to do so. And so the result of that is, we go out, we do the work, we identify gaps, we identify ways to fill those gaps, but then we document why we're not able to meet that. Oftentimes it is due to the lack of funds. Other times there could be existing structures that were not included in the scope of work. It's kind of similar in this case where we have existing enclosed infiltration stormwater systems that don't meet today's standards and that are failing. And that is a limiting factor in what we can build out there. And so what we do, the work is not done at that point. Like, we report out to the legislature, we explain this is what we want to do, this is what it's going to take money wise. And our hopes in reporting that out is to hopefully get some additional funds in the future, so that when we're coming through there again with another project, we know the need, we know what it's going to cost, and we can wrap that into a future project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That it's just such a busy corridor with ever more residential action going on there, that I feel like safe, active transportation infrastructure is going to be of paramount importance. And if, there's any way we can help jiggle some funding loose with a letter or some communication, then we would certainly be interested in doing so. So yeah, any changes, keep us apprised.
Absolutely. We'll do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Dylan? Seeing none, let's move on to Amy Koski. Hi, Amy.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm from Clark County Public Health, Built Environment Coordinator, Amy Koski. Just a few updates. So this Saturday is, I don't think Target Zero, I have seen Jasmine here. So I'll share that they are hosting their Move with MAD event. It's a road safety call to action to kind of create awareness about safe driving and not driving under the influence. And so they are having an event, Move with Matt, out at Frenchman's Bar Regional Park on Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. And Public Health, we are one of the sponsors, and so we'll have a table out there if you are interested in coming. I do have a couple of spots still on our team where you wouldn't have to register to participate, so you could reach out to me or Harrison or Susan to get to me if that helps. But yeah, that's on Saturday. And then, and that's the second annual event. It's a very touching event, but also sad because they are honoring the life of a young woman who was from Camas who died in a DUI accident crash. So the other update was that we are working with City of Vancouver. They're doing the heavy lifting on their Safe Routes to School Summer Fair event on August 15th, but we are coordinating with them to create a story walk as part of that event. It's designed for kids to come and learn how to ride a bike on the Heights Bike Garden and lots of other activities. I'm sure Brett will address it, but I wanted to note that we'll be talking about or creating a story walk, which is a unique activity that can be put at many different places. It's often outside of libraries, but it can be outside of other public spaces in parks. And it's a children's storybook that's kind of laid out along a path where families and folks can walk and read the story and be outside and getting some exercise as well. And then we also at Public Health have, over the last few years, we've been gradually adding to our social media diagrams and messaging, our posts for social media around bike safety and road safety. And so you would see those on the Clark County Public Health Facebook page, and I think we do Instagram as well. So if you are inclined to find that page and then reshare those, that would be great. I'm also happy to share those graphics and images and messaging with your organization. If there's an organization or a partner out there that would want to share these same messages, that would be great. And then just more broadly, lots of behind the scenes coordination with Harrison and Susan and community planning and different research projects. So happy to be here and be supporting, helping in some small way support the work that all of you are doing. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks, Amy. Does anyone have any questions for Amy? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Judith with RTC.
Good evening. Judith Perez-Keniston. I'm the principal planner with the Regional Transportation Council. And I don't think I can share, but I promised you last time that I will share with you the projects that, as I says, that contact sharing is unavailable. And I think it's just the way that I log in. But anyway, I don't know if, so I have a list of, okay, now I am supposed to be able to share quickly.
Judith, yeah, try that.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Oh, interesting. I can see you guys, but I don't. Okay, just a second. I don't know.
I think it says unverified. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Judith, if you let me know what you want me to share, I can pull it up from the website.
Okay. How do I get back to this? I just turned it. I mean, sorry, I'm totally lost here. Stop video, or what do I do now? Just I send you a project list with the safe streets for all applications and the highway system improvement projects applications. There you go. So as you can see on the list, we submitted for 9 different projects. 3 of them were at an intersection, one in the city of La Center at Northwest Timmon Road and La Center Road. That was for roundabout with pedestrian facilities, and the Safe Streets for All, it is a federal funding. And what we did at RTC, we just went together with bunch of cities just to make it worth it for them, and some other agencies to make it worth it for them to put an application together. So it's the La Center project for $4 million. We have one in Vancouver at Burton Road and 86th Avenue. Another one in Vancouver is an intersection at Southwest Mill Plain and 164th. Then we have a couple corridors, one in Camas, Division Street, Clark County, the Washougal River Road in Washougal, Sharper Road, And then there was a high injury network signal optimization, where, you know, there's a handful of signal modification, controllers, median curves. And then other activities is working with the Washington Traffic Safety Commission to submit a grant for speeding and rest behavior education, media campaign, and enforcement. And then we updated all the local road safety plan updates. And if we go to the next table, which are the WashDOT City Safety Grants, it was called Highway Safety Improvement Programs. So as part of updating the city's local road safety plans, 4 projects were submitted, one for Battleground, this a systemic stop control intersection, and on the table you can see the different intersections that was part of that $1.1 million application. One in Camas at Northeast 3rd Avenue. It was a roadway configuration, Richville systemic roadway departure segment, just a bunch of different corridors just to make the system work better. And Washougal, Evergreen Way, speed management, lighting. So all those 2 applications were submitted in the last, I mean, the Safe Streets for All was just submitted early this month, and the Highway Safety Improvement Program were submitted last month. So they were submitted this cycle. It was mainly cities. For the WashDOT application next month or next year, it will be for the county, and they're submitted their own. So so if you want more information, just let me know. I can send it to you. We were also and I don't know if Harrison, if you have the Regional Active Transportation Network, but we have made quite a bit of progress updating the local connections of the network, all the pink lines that you see there. Working with each agency individually for them to add the network that they want. The process is not completed. We will continue to work with them probably until the fall, just to make sure that we capture all that local network, all those pink lines that they're submitting as part of the comprehensive plans. And then also have modified those blue lines quite a bit as well. And in August, I'm coming back, I'm talking about the Regional Active Transportation Plan, and we will do an exercise where we'll talk about those blue lines again to make sure that they're connecting the communities and also connecting those local networks. And remember, under those blue lines, there's also a pink line. We work with Active Transportation Subcommittee, which is composed of staff from different agencies throughout Clark County. And right now we have 4 draft goals, we have 15 objectives, and 33 action strategies. So if you're interested in seeing them, just let me know if you have any comments. But all that is as the work that we're doing for the Regional Active Transportation Plan. And as Harrison is showing, you know, the last couple months, we have been focusing on the action strategies to make sure that they are implementable, that they can implement the goal and the objectives. And with that, I'm glad to answer any question about the safety projects we have submitted, or also the Regional Active Transportation Plan process that we will continue until early 2027.
Are there any questions for Judith? That's all exciting work and great work, and kudos to RTC. It's fun to watch the progress. And a question about the funding cycle. Is there somewhere on your website that you know, has the cycle of the funding, when projects need to be submitted, when you get them all approved, and then when could you expect to see funding from these?
Yeah, so for the funds that we manage, we have that on the website. Right now, we're working with local agencies on what we call transportation alternative grants. Those are mainly for bike and ped type of projects. And Jennifer Campos was just talking the other day, and she mentioned there's not that many applicants from the jurisdiction saying that they will submit. They're not have projects ready. So I can figure out, and let you guys know through Harrison and Suzanne which agencies are thinking about submitting. I mean, for sure, I know Vancouver is submitting. I'm not sure. I mean, I think Clark County too. I think Laura Haggett said that she has a couple projects in the pipeline. But transportation alternatives coming through the pipeline. That's the next one. For the funds that are outside of our management, so those funds like through WashDOT, all we do is work with local agencies to ensure they have the planning processes in place, so then they can apply. So usually for safety projects, those are in the early spring, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan. March, April deadline, and it rotates. It's county 1 year, cities the next year. So that's the way usually that works. But definitely, if you want to know more about the funding process, you can reach to me, or you can reach out to Jennifer Campos, who is our program manager.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. If there are no more questions for Judith, we're up to S now. So I think it's Brett's turn.
Yes, hello again. Yeah, Brett Setterfield, City of Vancouver. Harrison, if you could make me able to share as well. I just they're super small things, so if not, it's not a big deal. But the first, oh, look at that. He's on top of it. So I am going to, here, just a sec. So the first thing I wanted to mention, a lot of you already know because it's the thing I've talked about most recently, is these quarter projects. So we're almost a year into these. There's 3 of them, Northeast 72nd, 87th or 86th, 87th, and then 97, 98th. We're looking at these corridors. We've gone through the first round of engagement. We are almost done processing all of the comments that we got from people, and now we're working on potential refinements of what these look like. These projects they're scheduled for paving in 2028, I believe. And with that, we're looking at improvements to active transportation elements, getting people safer crossings, protected or buffered bike lanes, different things like that. So that's going on. And the next round of engagement is going to start, I believe, next month or potentially early July. So I'll keep this group informed about that. So trying to get public feedback on that. And then as Amy mentioned, so this summer, we are hosting a summer bike fair, which focuses on children, helping them learn safe bicycling techniques and checking their gear and all that stuff. And a big part of that is the rodeo, the bike rodeo that we're putting on August 15th. And what I'm letting this group know is we are looking for volunteers. And what volunteers for this are people that would essentially, you would run either the check-in or there's like 7 stations. It's gear check, making sure your helmet fits, make sure your chain's tight, and then, turning movements. And then once you get to an intersection, what does that look like? And then there's like a free form thing. We're going to have a bunch of popsicles and stuff because August 15th, most likely going to be a little toasty. We're getting some of those misters, bathrooms, all this stuff, turning into a pretty decent event. We've already got some partners involved to help table for different things. And I'm going to be sending Harrison the link to this volunteer sheet. If anyone is available, there's a few different options. So, so you can either do all day in the morning, in the other time, or if you can only do like an hour or something, just let us know. But we would love all the volunteers that we can get. It's going to be a fun day of helping kids learn how to ride bikes safely and get more people out there pedaling. That's what it's all about. So I will stop sharing. That is the extent of my stuff. So if anyone has any questions, I would be glad to answer them. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Brett. It looks like we have a question from Scott.
Hi, Brett. This is Scott with BPAC. I would like to volunteer, but is this up at the bike garden?
Oh, yes. I did not tell you the location. Yes.
It looked like it from the back side of the screen, but cool.
Yeah. And so it already kind of has paths and we have mapped it out and it's going to be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Brett. This is Patty. I would like to find out if the bike rodeo includes e-bikes.
We're not discluding e-bikes. We don't know how many people are going to show up, and after they go through the little rodeo thing, we have a kind of this free form area where kids can kind of practice their stuff, and we'll have some volunteers there to help. So we're not going to disclude any bike, but we might limit the amount of assist so kids aren't just flying all around nonstop. But
Yes.
yeah, I think e-bikes are. It's
in your outreach or publicity of this event, if you want to, I think e-bike riders don't think of themselves as in the same category. So if you want to include them, spelling it out for them. And I think that group of users probably need a lot of education.
I would agree. Yes. And that's a good idea. Yeah. I'll talk to my team about that. And yeah, definitely include that language. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. The bike rodeo sounds like fun. I will volunteer for that as well. And I can think of a few folks I can send that to spread the word.
Yes, that is also, thank you so much. Absolutely. Spread it to anyone, that would be willing. And yeah, we're going to try and make it as cool as possible, both in the literal sense and just the fun sense.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to our next agenda item, business. And, excuse me, Clark County. Susan Harrison, you've got the table.
This is Susan Poisner for the record, Clark County Community Planning. And I just wanted to provide BPAC with an update on the comprehensive plan schedule. The schedule was recently updated, and I will start at the end and say that we are looking at the effective date for the adoption of the comprehensive plan as October 23rd, 2026. In order for us to get there, and you'll hear a little bit more about some of these dates in Harrison's presentation, but in order for us to get there, we do have quite a few work sessions with County Council and County Planning Commission, and we also have a number of hearings. So first up, we have June 24th, where Community Planning Transportation will be presenting the transportation element, the draft capital facility plan list, the draft capital facility plan evaluation criteria. And then we will take that same information to the Planning Commission on July 2nd for a work session. On July 15th, we will take to County Council the final 20-year capital facility plan list, as well as related TIF updates, the update of Appendix A to complement the transportation element. And that same information will then go on to the Planning Commission on July 16th. For a work session. After that, we start moving into the public hearing segment of the project, and we will go to Planning Commission first with a public work session following the submittal of the mandated 60-day comment review period with the State Department of Commerce and RTC for their various roles and functions associated with that. That 60-day period will end around September 23rd. And during that window of time, we do envision taking the final product to the Planning Commission for a work session currently scheduled August 6th. And then the final hearing with the Planning Commission would be August 20th, with the deliberation extending to September 3rd. And then we go to County Council on September 16th for a work session, followed by the initial final hearing on October 6th, and the final deliberation and adoption of the ordinance is anticipated for October 13th. So it's a lot of dates, it's a lot of preparation, and we are working to get that completed. So thank you for all your assistance.
That's great. That's a lift. Thank you for the update. Appreciate that. Any questions for Susan? Okay, seeing none. Let's move on to the next item on our agenda, business. And I believe Harrison will give us some background and some updates on the active transportation projects for the 20-year Transportation Capital Facility Plan.
Right. Thank you, Dave, and good evening, BPAC members. Just give me a moment while I get all of my materials up. All right. Okay. Let's see here. So as Susan just gave in her update, we are in the middle of our comprehensive plan update process. And forgive me, Susan, if you mentioned this already, but one of the reasons we did not have a meeting last month for the month of April was we've been kind of meeting with our planning commission and county council, and they made a decision on April 28th on the preferred land use and kind of growth scenario that we're planning towards for 2045. So now that we've kind of gone that direction from our council, we've been kind of in the midst of doing all of the analysis work needed to figure out, what type of capital facilities or improvements are needed to kind of support that outlook over the next 20 years. Luckily, we've been, I think, working a lot with our, we've been working a lot with our subcommittee over the last couple months. And so we felt now that we've had the preferred land use alternative and we kind of hit this milestone, we wanted to share out some of our initial findings with the larger group. So tonight we're going to be going over just the kind of the draft staff report that's provided in the meeting materials, and then just get some general feedback on that, and then also share out some of the work that we're doing to find, some of the work that we're doing to prioritize kind of these lists of projects that we're developing as part of that needs analysis. So I'm just going to, I apologize, my computer is kind of freezing. Let's see here. Oh. Okay. So I know that Susan kind of walked through the timeline for the entire comprehensive plan, but I wanted for these two items that are going to be in front of BPAC tonight, I really wanted to kind of outline the tight timeline that we're going to be kind of working under for the next 2 months, and kind of highlight when we'll be bringing materials to BPAC, and then kind of when we'll be following up with our county council and planning commission with these materials as well. So as you see on this kind of slide, these are just the kind of important dates that we're kind of keeping in mind as we're preparing this aspect of the transportation capital facilities plan. So kind of today we are providing you with kind of the first look, or kind of the first opportunity to provide feedback on this active transportation list, and then also the evaluation criteria for the overall capital facilities plan and project list. And I think we kind of discussed this with Dave, but I think today our goal is really to share all this information out, get some initial feedback if you have any, but our goal is to come back next month, in the month of June, for final recommendations or formal recommendations on these items. So that's kind of how that looks. And then kind of the day after the June meeting, we'll be meeting with our county council in a work session to go over the evaluation criteria, these kind of draft findings as well. But we'll be looking at not just active transportation, but just our transportation system as a whole. And then we'll be following up with Planning Commission, kind of providing them with that same material. And then in July, for the 15th and 16th, those dates will be focused around funding discussions, and we'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But as part of our capital facilities plan, we develop kind of cost estimates, and we're kind of required as part of the Growth Management Act to discuss basically how the county plans to fund all of these improvements in the future. So I just wanted to, as we kind of go into these discussions, I just wanted to highlight these important dates and kind of the decision timeline that we're working towards. And then, as Susan mentioned, we're kind of looking to submit everything kind of at the end of July. And so kind of with that, I'm going to dive right into kind of our draft findings right now for our active transportation needs, and then also the project list that comes with it. So just as a high level kind of reminder for the group, so I just wanted to highlight some of the past decisions or recommendations that this group has provided to staff that's kind of helped shape kind of where we are now. So back in December, I know a large portion of 2025, we talked about some of the newer requirements for jurisdictions to adopt kind of multimodal level of service standards. And in December, we came to this group to ask for an official a recommendation of approval of some proposed multimodal level of service standards. And so if you, for some of the newer members, if you would like some additional information about that kind of recommendation, I do believe we had a staff report back on that December 16 meeting, but we did get that approval recommendation from the committee back in December. And then we kind of went on from that to help develop our kind of proposed active transportation network for our required active transportation component for our transportation chapter. So I think we worked with our subcommittee, and we brought it to the larger group at the March meeting. And there was a recommendation for staff to move forward with developing the CFP project list with what was shown in the maps from that meeting. So we kind of wanted to show kind of step-by-step process that's kind of led us here to this information that's in front of you. So with all of those decisions, we've prepared a very early kind of initial findings of just first identifying the roadways that do not meet the minimum standards that were recommended back in December. And then we use kind of that March decision to help us identify what facilities would be needed to help bring those roadways into compliance. And so Appendix A, it's a very long table, a lot of different roadways. So we're not going to ask you to review all of it and provide feedback on every single one, but I think what we're looking for is we want to share out that information of we have the kind of information documented, kind of what the existing level of traffic stress is for each roadway, the existing bicycle facilities for each of those roadways, the proposed facility types, how many linear feet of missing sidewalk there are on each segment. And then we can kind of talk about this a little bit later on, but we did just a short analysis of using our future land use map, how many potential new pedestrian crossings we might need in our system overall. And then we kind of documented that as well. So it's kind of just a summary table. And like I said, it's just used for us to kind of help inform kind of decisions down the road. Yeah, and so I've provided that in an Appendix A of the staff report, and then kind of further down, further in the staff report, there's also just a summary of kind of system-wide needs, and then kind of potential costs associated with those needs as well. And so we have some unit cost estimates that we'll review kind of tonight that we helped, that our traffic engineering team kind of helped us develop. And some of these cost estimates and figures that you'll see in the staff report will be used to help us or to help inform the funding analysis that we have to do for the entire plan, the multi-year financing plan, and then also the funding discussions that we're required to have as well. So that's just like a very high level overview of what you'll find in the report. I know there's a lot of information to digest, and so I think that's why we're trying to bring it to the committee as a whole in kind of two parts. But as just kind of an overall system-wide summary, we just kind of wanted to give a kind of a breakdown of what we do know. And as I mentioned, these are kind of some very early preliminary findings, and so these numbers are going to be probably revised over the next 2 months as we're working towards submitting this for review by the Department of Commerce and RTC as well. So kind of using the proposed kind of active transportation network that you saw back in March, and the level of service standards, multimodal level of service standards, we identified that there are about 121 miles of basically miles of roadway that need improvements to the bicycle facilities. And right now we're still working on trying to create a price tag for the overall system-wide need. And I'll kind of go into that a little bit later of some information that we're missing for that number. But of our kind of system-wide need as well, looking at the roadways that these level of service standards would apply to, we also identified over 400,000 linear feet of missing sidewalk. And we have kind of a cost estimate of, I need to go back to the staff report, but I think it's about $311 per linear foot to kind of fill those in. And so that's kind of a snapshot of kind of a system-wide need cost estimate. And then, as I mentioned, we also kind of did this optional analysis after talking with the subcommittee. We kind of identified that there's a large community desire for the county to implement more enhanced crossings. It's something that we hear a lot of customer requests for, and I think it came up a lot during our discussions with the subcommittee. So we added this in. And kind of another reason why we wanted to add it in is if you look at that kind of price tag, it's not an insignificant amount of money to kind of implement enhanced pedestrian crossings. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of baking those into some of the cost estimates and funding discussions as well. And so I think we still need to do some more revisions of this analysis based off of our preferred alternative that we got from council last month. But I think we're going to be probably in the ballpark of needing around 390 potential new locations for pedestrian crossings. Kind of throughout the report, we kind of provided some more like high-level unit cost estimates for each facility, and so I just wanted to kind of breeze through those really quick with the committee. But I know this has been kind of a subject that the committee has asked, or a topic that that this committee has asked for in the past, and so we did feel like it was information we wanted to share out so that you all have it in your future discussions as well. So right now, I am still waiting for some additional information for unit cost estimates for shared use paths. We have some numbers for signing and striping, but I think we need some additional figures for the actual asphalt aspect of the path. And so I will make sure to come back next month with some figures to share out for that one. But these are kind of what we have so far for, the kind of costs for protected bike lanes, buffered bike lanes, and shared roadways. And similarly, we worked with our our traffic team to come up with some cost estimates for the enhanced pedestrian crossings. And so here's just some additional information. The county actually has a document from, I believe, 2022. And let me just confirm. But we do have a pedestrian crossing policy, treatment policy. And so in that policy document, I believe I linked it in the staff report, and you can also find it on our Public Works website. But they kind of outline kind of 5 different types of treatments that we would consider for pedestrian crossing location. And they kind of label it A through E. And I provided kind of in that report a selection kind of table that helps with staff kind of deciding what type of treatment goes at what location. And so we kind of broke down these treatment types and what would be needed for each treatment type. And so these are the unit cost estimates for those. So for next steps for this, we will be, over the next month, we'll be working to finish our transportation needs analysis on the preferred alternative for the comprehensive plan. And we, as we finish that needs analysis, we'll develop a final CFP project list. We have a draft version of it. We're pretty confident that it's probably not going to change too much, but we have some additional work to do just to confirm our initial findings. And then what we'll do is, once we have a final project list, we'll be kind of updating the project descriptions within our 20-year plan with the information basically from the staff report and the needs analysis, and then updating our cost estimates as well. And as I mentioned, in the June 24th meeting, we'll be coming back to BPAC, and we'll be asking for an approval of the proposed active transportation network. So I think we got kind of a recommendation to use the draft version to develop the CFP, but I think in June we would like a kind of an official approval of kind of moving that forward from the committee, and then we'll be asking for a recommendation of approval on the final CFP project list, and then BPAC won't be meeting. I guess we'll be having multiple meetings with council after that. So the June meeting will be the last time council or the committee will be able to provide any recommendations for council as they do their work sessions. And so if there's any recommendations related to funding, that might be a good time for the committee to maybe provide something for the council to consider in those work sessions. And then, as I mentioned, so we'll kind of related to this topic item, we'll review that final project list with council on the 25th. And then we'll have those funding discussions on how to fund the projects with council on July 15th. So before we kind of go into the next item, we just kind of wanted to open it up for feedback. So we drafted some kind of just questions to help guide the feedback from the group, but really I'll just kind of read these out and then open it up, hand it over to Dave to facilitate. But generally, we're looking for any questions or feedback on the kind of initial active transportation needs findings. And then we would really like to know from the group, kind of does this needs analysis adequately capture the needs for active transportation, and kind of what we need to develop the final transportation CFP project list. And is there anything else that's needed to help inform future funding discussions? And is there anything anything that you think that's missing from this as well? So with that, David, I'm gonna pass it over to you, and then we can have discussion and then go on to the next item as needed.
Okay. That's a lot of information. And, it's those of us who've been on the comp plan subcommittee are more familiar with some of this information. I wonder, looking at the questions, but also listening to Harrison, is there any feedback from anyone? Questions, thoughts? John, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, this is John Vanderberg. I guess one of the things I was kind of thinking about when we were looking at the buffered bike lane costs and that type of thing, it seems like instead of being on both sides of the road, you would be able to save half of your buffering costs if you moved both of the bicycle lanes to one side of the road and you just had a bicycle road on one side. And I think that would be far safer than on each side, and you'd have twice as much room. One of the other things that I noticed is that what we always want to fall back on is the same old thing as far as the tubular stands to stand those up. And I don't think that the fourth plane project has been open a year yet, but it's almost kind of a game when I go down fourth plane to count how many of them have been knocked over, ruined, and I think that a concrete curb, I don't know what the cost is because that wasn't given, but a concrete curb instead of these vertical tubes made out of plastic would send more of a message to a car that it's messing with your wheels to jump over that. And it would make you feel a lot more protected, I think. And if you had it all on one side of the road, it would cut your costs in half. Go ahead, Dave.
Just great observations. And my first thought about putting both bike lanes on one side and then you'd only have the cost of the barriers on one side. I think what you're not accounting for would be the fact that they would have to remove the stripes on the road, which I think is a pretty intensive process with some type of machine that's actually scraping into the asphalt. And then they would have to restripe the whole road. So I could see these barriers just on the bike lanes as being probably the most cost effective. I don't know that but that's my hunch. And then the concrete barriers, I think that's a great idea. And I've been watching them put them in up in Seattle when I go up there recently. And what they're doing there is they are removing 2 inches of asphalt or an inch and change of asphalt. And then they're anchoring these curbs into the subsurface and then putting asphalt back around the curbs. Now, these curbs are 1.5 feet wide. So that's a different methodology than, say, buying a curb that's parking block width, maybe 4 to 6 inches and pounding it into the pavement. Probably there's some data out there about how those come loose. Do those come loose? How safe are they? I don't know about that. But I think these types of solutions would be worth pursuing and throwing out there. And in a previous discussion with Amy Koski at Health, she had talked about maybe figuring out some way to just do a demonstration project where, we just try it somewhere, put out a curb situation and see if it can happen. Anyway, I don't mean to answer things, but those are just some thoughts. And Harrison, you want to chime in?
Yeah, and so John, thank you so much for your comment. One thing that I didn't mention for the unit cost estimates that we put together for the bicycle facilities, we did kind of, when we did talk to our traffic engineering team, we did ask them kind of assume that it's an ideal situation. And so I think, and for these kind of planning purposes, I think we can acknowledge that these cost estimates are going to be very conservative, and they're not going to incorporate everything. But we are trying to develop something to serve as kind of an anchor to help with kind of discussion moving forward. I think like in the county specifically, so like for say a lot of these bike lanes, we ask them, assume ideal conditions, assume that the pavement width already exists, and assume that the stormwater is already there. In most cases, the pavement width isn't there and the stormwater isn't already there. And so those are all additional things they do have to incorporate into the cost, which kind of we can't really anticipate right now at this level, but we are trying to work on something at a figure that will help kind of anchor discussions moving forward. And then for I think the buffered bike lane, I think that's really great feedback. I think for these purposes, we would probably want to assume like kind of the most expensive option in that sense, so that we can build that into the cost estimates. But then I think at the project level, I think that's when you would really decide, do you have it on both sides, one side? And so I think again, a lot of this is really high level, and a lot of it does get kind of ironed out at the project specific project level for each project. So I can try to work with our team to see if we can come up with maybe like a separate estimate of what a concrete curb would cost. I think when we kind of posed it, we just handed it over to our team and we just said, what kind of just provide an estimate of the most realistic, or like with realistically what the county would probably implement. And I think it is probably going to be a cost saving measure to use like a tough curb with probably the kind of plastic vertical delineators. So so I'll just add that to the conversation. But yeah.
Well, the one other thought was we had estimates for how much it costs for sidewalk and how much it costs for bicycle lanes. And could there potentially, like you said, in the future be some cost savings if you're working on doing both those together, even if you have them maybe at different elevations and things. But that, yeah, just a thought is, but like you said, if you're looking at what the worst case scenario is, as opposed to what's realistic.
Sure. And I will mention, I think we are moving forward with the assumption that, I think in Appendix A kind of list the different project locations. I think we're moving forward with the assumption that when we look at a project or a corridor, we are trying to address everything that's listed there at the same time, and not just the sidewalk, then the bike lane, and then pedestrian crossings later. But we're trying to do, I think that the assumption is that we would do all of it at once. So very similar to kind of the approach the city of Vancouver does.
I've been participating in the 192nd extension past the Humane Society. There are a number of variations of the bike path and pedestrian sidewalks, and a lot of cost estimates have been done by the city. I wonder if there's been any collaboration for unit pricing for all those options. There's a number of them, and they've got costs to each. And including, I was thinking about Columbia and the Zicklets that have been placed on Columbia seem very effective too for keeping cars out of the bike lane and bikes in the bike lane.
Yep.
And I do see
Jay, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah. I'm kind of overwhelmed with so many things to ask, but I have a couple big questions, I think, that'll be useful. Is public reporting required when MMLOS standards are waived or downgraded?
That is a really great question, Jay. I don't know if we've gone that far yet with this, because a lot of these the MMLOS standards right now are proposed, so they're not incorporated. They're not yet incorporated into our comprehensive plan or Title 40. But I think that's a really good point.
It's a fantastic point. You know, it speaks to really the need to collect data, and that is something that I think we could put on the list, is how many waivers are granted to, you know, and I think that it sparks in my mind, what is the kind of data that we want to gather every year in order to report on the progress of the implementation of the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. And, you know, also, is that something that could be affected by policy? Is there a way that if it is not publicly reported, can a policy be created so that it becomes publicly reported? It seems that we should look into this. So Jay, keep it in mind. Let's keep pushing this. I don't think tonight we're going to have time to chase that to the end, but this is a great observation. I think we need to pursue this outside of this meeting and generate some ideas and thoughts on it.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that. And also glad to meet anytime to catch you up if you have more questions, to download what I know, share what I know, really with any members. So just take, you know, if you ever want to get together. Yeah, right on. Excellent. Any other questions out there regarding Harrison's presentation? Jay, I see your hand still up. You may want to take that down if you don't have any more questions. Okay. Seeing no questions and moving on with our agenda, we've got the evaluation criteria for prioritizing transportation capital facilities plan projects. And Susan, Harrison will be presenting on that. The evaluation criteria for prioritizing transportation projects. So how does the county go about picking where they're going to put their money, essentially? So go ahead. Thanks, Harrison.
Yeah, so the second portion of kind of tonight's material. So I think as I outlined in the staff report, you'll see a kind of a draft project list. It is over 160 projects. And so I think that has been a traumatic shift from how the county's capital facilities plan has looked in the past. So right now, I think if you were to go to our website, there's about somewhere between maybe like 40 like large capital projects from the 2016, or actually our 2020 transportation capital facilities plan update. And so with that, really, I think in the past, we've kind of put together those large capital projects, and then those projects have been prioritized really through the 6-year transportation improvement program, which is that the 6-year TIP, and that is also something available on Public Works website that I can provide to the committee for additional information. But so with kind of now with the state through the new amendments to GMA asking us to look at active transportation facilities, our list has kind of really gotten a lot bigger. As you can see, there's a lot of needs in our active transportation network. And so as part of this process, we are going through and trying to develop a framework to help kind of guide the next steps of implementation, basically what happens after the comprehensive plan, to prioritize projects and to kind of evaluate how well the construction of any one project can kind of help the county move towards that 20-year vision that's kind of set out in the comprehensive plan. And so as part of the materials, we provided kind of the draft framework on the meeting webpage. Again, it's a very long document, and so we really do appreciate you taking the time to review and look this through. So I think our ask for between kind of now and next month is to really just digest this, look at it with an active transportation lens, and kind of let us know, how, if you have any additional feedback. And I think as I mentioned, this is the first time that we're asking for feedback on it from a group. So kind of BPAC is getting an opportunity to provide feedback early. We've gotten some initial feedback from some of our partner agencies, and we'll probably ask them for additional feedback as well. But we wanted to get it in front of BPAC basically as soon as possible to incorporate any feedback that you have. So in a nutshell, this document really tries to just document the process and kind of the thought and methodology behind how we plan on, or how we're proposing to prioritize our list of projects that we're developing for the CFP. And so back in June, you'll see a full list of those projects that you kind of saw, all the active transportation ones, but we're thinking there'll probably be somewhere around the ballpark of 200 projects that will be kind of presenting to county council. And our hope is really to fit them into very general buckets of something that's either high priority, medium priority, or low priority. As I mentioned, the framework, it's really just, it's just evaluating how well a specific project could help advance the goals and policies in the comprehensive plan. So I think actually in late 2024, we brought to the committee some proposed draft changes that we were making to the transportation element and the goals and policies. And so those have been presented to Planning Commission and County Council back in 2025. So we did provide a link to kind of the proposed changes in the transportation element or transportation chapter, so you can kind of see the relationship of this document with what's being proposed. And I think that the thought process kind of moving forward is, because we do have a lot of projects, really we would be kind of giving or recommending that the high priority projects be kind of further evaluated for to be included in the 6-year TIP every year. So every year as they update that, we would have them, we would really direct them to look at the high priority projects first, and then kind of move down from there. And so, as I mentioned, you know, we've kind of gone through the process of developing some proposed goals and policies for the comprehensive plan. You know, these are just these are some of the proposed goals that will be in front of council in the fall with the adoption of the comprehensive plan. So there's a lot of them kind of related, some related to regional coordination and consistency with the land use plan, kind of a goal related to equity, a goal related to multimodal, a goal related to kind of preserving the investment in the system, a goal related to mobility, safety, reduction in BMT, kind of promoting EV adoption, ensuring resilience throughout the system to kind of impacts of climate, and then kind of one around financing and how we kind of fund these our transportation system as well. So so from these goals, we try to kind of document a clear kind of relationship between these goals and policies and the criteria that we're kind of proposing to measure each project with. And so as kind of a summary, these are kind of the criteria that we developed. And I'll kind of go over some examples of how we developed these criteria and the kind of the thought process. But all of these kind of really have a one-to-one relationship with an existing or proposed policy in the transportation chapter of the comprehensive plan. So you'll see very similar language in the kind of related policies, and then kind of our thought process is, so we have around 11 criteria, and really we'll kind of the framework outlines the methods, but each project would be scored on a scale of kind of 0 to 5 with maximum score of 55. And sure, go for it, Dave.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to ask a clarifying question for myself and hopefully everyone else, which is, you mentioned that there's something like 200 projects, and are those active transportation projects only? Or do they include all transportation projects?
Yeah, so that would include all of the all of the transportation
Okay,
projects.
and this document that we're looking at right now this is applied to all transportation projects.
That's correct.
Not just active transportation. So this goes for, okay, thank you.
Yes.
That helps as I look at this.
Yeah, and so our thought process is, you know, roadway that we've identified for widening or for urban upgrades would be evaluated the same way as, you know, a roadway that would upgrade a bike facility or add sidewalk. And we can kind of talk about, we might, I don't know, we might change that once we see the findings, but our hope is we're going to evaluate everything kind of on an equals kind of stage, and then we'll need to have additional discussions about the implementation. How do we move forward from here to implementation? And so we'll definitely want BPAC as part of those discussions because a lot of this is new for the county. And so we'll be developing a lot of new processes as well. And so, yeah, and the reason why we did want to bring it forward to the committee is there's a lot of criteria in this that's related to active transportation, and we want to make sure that we're really helping to promote the vision from the 2010 Bike and Ped Master Plan and make sure that we're kind of advancing active transportation through all of our projects as well. So we want to make sure that this is getting us to that point. And so these are all the criteria that are related to active transportation or active transportation adjacent. And so we're really kind of hoping to kind of focus the feedback from this group on these specific criteria that are highlighted on the screen. So just as kind of an example of the process or kind of the thought process of developing these criteria. So here on the right side of the screen, this is one of the criteria that we'll be measuring kind of projects on. And we kind of wanted to show kind of that relationship back to the goals and the policies within the comprehensive plan. So we do have a criteria that is kind of evaluating projects on their kind of effectiveness of expanding an interconnected countywide active transportation network to key destinations. And this kind of really kind of originates from Goal 5 in our comprehensive plan. And it kind of also originates from mostly two policies, but there are others that are related to it as well. And you can kind of see, I tried to highlight or kind of emphasize a little bit the exact language that we kind of pulled out of those policies to develop the criteria as well. So like policy 5.3.10 talks about expanding the interconnected network of safe and accessible pedestrian sidewalks, bicycle facilities, trails, multi-use paths. And then kind of later on in the policy, it talks about how the network expansion should be strategic and then prioritize engagement with overburdened communities in project priorities and design, improve air quality and physical health in overburdened communities, but to connect to key destinations. And then kind of policy 5.3.11 talks about the county supporting kind of coordination among the jurisdictions and agencies in the identification and development of an interconnected countywide network. So again, kind of this, we're kind of really trying to tie these criteria back to goals and policies within the comprehensive plan. And here's just another example. So we have a criteria that's kind of support target 0 to eliminate fatal and serious injuries on the county roads. And so this generates or kind of originates from Goal 5 and Policy 5.6.1, which talks about the county supporting, the development of capital improvements and target 0 and kind of moving towards that the policy and kind of goal of 0 fatalities and 0 disabling injury collisions by 2030. So I just kind of wanted to provide that kind of visual example of kind of where these criteria are coming from. And I think in the document, we do try to cite kind of those originating policies, so you can kind of go back and reference them and kind of see if we've captured that correctly, or actually that would be kind of feedback we would want to know is if you think we've captured it incorrectly, we would want to go back and kind of reevaluate that as well. And so I kind of from that, once we've kind of developed a criteria, we try to develop scoring for each one and how we would measure them. And so this is an example related to the active transportation network. And so I wanted to highlight this also because this is where we're trying to incorporate the Bike and Ped Master Plan And so for this one specifically, we're saying that projects will be prioritized based on, if they're located on the priority network from the 2010 Bike and Ped Plan, and if they're located on RTC's Regional Active Transportation Network. And then kind of as a moderate score, it could be an either or situation. And then if the project isn't identified as a local or regional priority, we were recommending that it just wouldn't score in this criteria. So this is, again, just an example of kind of the scoring rubrics that we've developed for kind of these ones. And so we'll kind of just open it up for general feedback, but kind of the next steps for this evaluation criteria, we're going to continue to revise kind of this framework and the document itself, kind of in preparation to bring it to County Council. We're going to kind of between now and the June BPAC meeting, what we'll do, we'll take the feedback tonight, we'll incorporate it. We'll continue to work with the BPAC subcommittee on this. And what we'll do is we'll start screening projects and assigning scores based off of this criteria. And we're going to try to bring you back kind of a very early prioritization of projects in the June meeting. So you'll see kind of how the projects from the staff report, how do they kind of rank in priority among others. And then that way, maybe that will help kind of the committee determine is this framework really helping to advance kind of that vision from the 2010 plan? Is it kind of really getting the county to where you would like to see kind of investment in transportation infrastructure in the future? And then I think in that June meeting, we will be asking for a recommendation of approval of the criteria framework itself. And then right after that meeting, we'll be doing that work session with County Council. So we're going to be reviewing the CFP project list, but we'll also be reviewing the framework with them. But then we won't review a prioritized list with council until July 15th. So I know it's very tight turnaround, but that's kind of the next steps of this specific item on the agenda. And so, yeah, as just kind of for feedback, we kind of welcome any questions, general feedback on this kind of draft framework. But we really want to know, does this criteria or kind of draft criteria, does it adequately promote and encourage active transportation? Do you think it does enough? And do you agree with some of the measures that are being used to evaluate the criteria that are related to active transportation? So if you think that we're off base or we maybe aren't prioritizing the right things, let us know. And then we would love to know if you think anything is maybe missing or could be improved as well. So that's kind of all. So Dave, I'll pass back over to you for discussion.
Okay, I've got lots of thoughts, but I wonder if anyone else with those questions, could you put those questions back up, Harrison? Sorry about that. It might, I guess I'll share my thoughts. It's a super quick turnaround for a lot of complex information processes. But I think, committee members, you can see this evaluation criteria in the current transportation improvement program document. It's in the front of it, and it shows, these are our selection criteria. My question is, and Harrison, I may have asked this and you may have given me an answer, is there any change in this selection criteria that puts more weight to active transportation projects? And if there isn't any that gives more weight, can we can we somehow get more weight to active transportation projects? I know that the comprehensive plan update now has a climate element that may be able to help weight active transportation projects. There's, reduction of emissions. Is that a way that we can get more weight to active transportation projects? Those are just some thoughts. I want to compare this to what exists now. And does this take into account this new, for the next 20 years, how are we, since in the last 20 years, not too many active transportation projects were funded. How is this document going to change it so that we can get more funding for active transportation projects? And by that, I mean just making the current system more safe, making small connections. And at the risk of running on here, there was some discussion in our subcommittee meeting about creating a special fund for active transportation projects. And you may remember that there's $450,000 a year that the county sets aside for sidewalks and pedestrian and ADA cutouts. And so that's this special category. Harrison had suggested that perhaps we can lobby the county council to create perhaps a active transportation specific fund, increase the amount of funding in there so that there's monies available to do some of the improvements that we know are needed on the active transportation network. And Harrison, you said that this might be the request from BPAC to create that type of funding may or may not be apropos to submit some request from BPAC in June or July. I'm not sure when that would be. So maybe that's further discussion for us to try to figure that out. But those are my thoughts. Anyone else?
Yeah, and Dave, if I could just respond, I think you kind of asked how this ties back to the prioritization in the 6-year tip. So, I think I may have mentioned this, but for the 20-year plan, in the comprehensive plan, we have not had a prioritization kind of methodology. So we've never prioritized projects in the 20-year CFP.
Yeah.
We have priority projects in the bike and ped master plan. But I think in the past, the county has kind of struggled to create this relationship or link between the 2010 bike and ped master plan and the 20-year CFP and the comprehensive plan. So we're trying to, 15 years later, we're trying to create this link now back to the bike and ped plan. And I think I tried to show that back here with that criteria related to the interconnected system. Let me see. Sorry, I know the screen looks like it. Yeah. So we are now actively trying to measure if a project location is on that priority network. And I just looked at our 6-year tip right now, and it doesn't look like well, there's no mention of the 2010 bike and ped master plan in the 6-year tip. So it doesn't look like that has ever been, or currently is not a consideration for prioritizing projects. And so I think that's what we're also trying to, so in that sense, I think it will help. This may be an approach that could help with actively or actually getting those priority projects in the 2010 plan constructed and implemented. Because I think a couple years ago, the committee did that inventory of the priority network and found that a majority of those projects have not been implemented over the last 15 years. So
it sounds like I misunderstood. This is the capital facility plan evaluation criteria, and then there's a different evaluation criteria for the TIP program. So, okay, I understand that.
And
Yep.
so we haven't yet figured that out, but it could be that this new one that we are developing will
influence
the kind of direction for the 6-year TIP in the future as well. So it could be that we need to go look at the 6-year after we kind of get this figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Those two are separate. And so that will be helpful in evaluating the transportation capital facility plan evaluation criteria, as that's for the 20-year sort of structure. Okay.
And I will add, for those of you that may not be familiar with the relationship between the 6-year and the 20-year kind of, or the 6-year TIP and the 20-year CFP, kind of by state law, the 6-year TIP is required to be consistent with the 20-year CFP. So really, these changes that we are making to the 20-year CFP are eventually going to trickle down into changes to the 6-year TIP.
Well, that's great. Thank you for clarifying that. That was important. It is 7:46. We have only 14 more minutes. I think if no one has any more questions on this particular subject, we should move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the 2025 annual report and the 2026 work plan presentation to County Council, which took place on May 6th, I believe that was. And I guess I'll report out about it, talk about that a little bit. So, thanks to everyone who participated and helped with it. Harrison and Susan and Scott, who read before the county council and did a great job. And Brian Watson was there, and Megan and myself. We presented to the county council, and our message was that the current system needs upgrades for safety and connections. We tried to impress upon the county council the benefits of investing in active transportation infrastructure. We just tried to let them know that it's well known that it's a economical and strategic way to achieve your transportation goals. And I think the council had a bunch of questions afterwards, and they wanted to know really what they can do to help. They wanted to know what specific projects could be put before them in order for them to start to focus on some specific projects. And, to that end, myself and I've been talking with some of the nonprofit groups, Vancouver Bicycle Club, Cycle Vancouver, and just trying to get them interested in the idea of putting forth and prioritizing some projects. this has all been sort of in the background, well, but I think that we'll have opportunity to interact with the county council more than just one time a year. And so this is a great opportunity. They asked us to interact with them more than one time a year. And so we need to get strategic and what type of a message do we want to give to the county council next. And so we're working on it. It may be that part of our messaging will go through the presentation that Susan and Harrison will, when they're interacting with them, maybe this opportunity is the chance to ask for some set aside funding specifically for active transportation. We're still working it out. But I really want to thank all those who helped out. We got online and practiced, and I thought it went pretty well. We had great attendance from the Vancouver Bicycle Club. There were enough people there to sound loud when they applauded at the end. So that was super helpful. And then also, Susan, I must say, made our annual report off of a very rough draft from earlier. But I just want to thank you for all your efforts to put this through and get this done. And I thought it turned out just great. So you did an awesome job on this, and I really appreciate the time you had to put into this because we were otherwise engaged. So thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions about the council presentation? Okay. Moving on then to the next agenda item. We've got subcommittee updates, and we basically have gone through the subcommittee updates this evening for the comp plan subcommittee. These documents that we've reviewed with Harrison are what Harrison has presented to us in our subcommittee. So it's been, we've asked questions and Harrison has helped us to better understand it. So if any other committee members have any questions about this subject matter, please reach out to any one of us on that subcommittee, and we'll be happy to chat about it. I don't know if there's any updates for the outreach committee. I'm going to surprise Kelsey with one update, which is that I sent an email to the community booth manager at the Vancouver Farmers Market. There's a person there who curates the community booths, and I just sent her an email and asked her, can we get a permanent booth at the farmers market? It's just, if we can, then we would start to work on content, engage with our community partners at the Vancouver Bicycle Club, Bike Clark County, Cycle Vancouver, and work on a staffing program. We have help from those groups. They're willing to jump in, so we wouldn't have to do all the work. But I have yet to hear back from her. So my fingers are crossed. And Kelsey, I'll send you a copy of that email that I sent to her. I think.
Great. And while we're at it, and for the
Yeah.
record, this is Kelsey Young. We are signed up to be at the farmers market on October 17th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I really need a lot of volunteers to help staff that. So if you are free and interested, please let me know.
Good. Yeah, and I think before that date, we'll get together and work on our messaging for that. I've been out of town a bunch, and I know that Harrison and Susan have been super busy as well. So with that, that is really all of our business, and I'd just like to open it up. We have another 5 minutes. Open it up for a roundtable. Anyone have any thoughts, concerns, comments that they'd like to share? Yeah, Patty, go ahead.
Since we have just a few minutes, I'd like to go back to the evaluation criteria and ask if we have two projects that are very similar, and I think they're about, they're about 1 mile in length. If they're two projects similar, but one project is connecting two already existing active transportation sections, and the other one isn't, will the first project like maybe score with an extra point or something like that to be able to differentiate that? I know that it's very difficult to be able to say, oh yes, that project will improve will improve a 3 mile long section of the active transportation network versus another project that is sort of a standalone.
Oh, thank you, Patty, for that question. So I think when we were kind of providing the methods of how we plan to score each project. But I think, and I might have mentioned this in the beginning, our hope is really maybe not so much to fixate on the score itself, but to kind of really put them in very general buckets of priority to kind of help guide the county, after the comprehensive plan. We kind of want to highlight the projects like generally when we pass it off to the public works, this is like generally what you should start with first. And I think when they go to implement projects, there's a lot of different considerations. There's probably costs. There's probably what's there existing, what's already there. Maybe if the county has just recently put in improvements, but we're now kind of upping the bar for the standards. Are they going to be willing to go back immediately and make those changes? But also, different grants have different things that they're looking for as well. So we want to make it flexible enough where they can kind of choose the right project for kind of specific grants that they apply for as well. So so what I'm trying to say is I think we're trying to build in the flexibility, but provide them enough direction to help guide them with that as well. So
For that clarification, that's great.
But I do think, and I think we might have mentioned this in the subcommittee, there could be some work that the committee could work on after the comprehensive plan to kind of maybe even create like a second filter of this list as well. So we'll create like our priority list, but maybe the county wants to focus on low-hanging fruit, like what's going to be easily implementable first. So I think there's a lot of different ways that we could approach it. But I think with the help from the committee, I think we can get to the right approach. But
go ahead, Susan.
For the record, this is Susan Poisner, Community Planning. Patty, I just wanted to also expand upon that and let you know that we're currently working to prioritize the active transportation network community-wide, right? And we also are trying to balance it with some of the other values or goals and policies found in the comp plan. And how we balance that is kind of the challenge that we face, because historically, a lot of the infrastructure was provided in maybe more affluent neighborhoods, and we don't want to overlook the overburdened communities. And in addition, we also get quite a bit of our infrastructure through development. And so we're hoping to develop incentives for the development community to also help us bridge some of the gaps in the system.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Susan. Well, with that, it is 8 p.m. and let us call this meeting to a close. I'd like to adjourn the meeting for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We appreciate your input and your participation. So with that, good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, it's, helping these guys, right?
Thank you very much for that. I've been working on a printer that I've been reading online a lot, but I always like to be able to sort of send margin and stuff like that. It's like, oh. I appreciate it. I think that's one thing I forgot to mention.